friend of mine stops me in the hallway, colleague, walking down and says, what are you doing with why the Post-it note charts? Like, why all the Post-it notes and the charts? And we didn't have time to chat, but it prompted my thinking, and I felt like I owed not only him an explanation, but I felt like this could also be beneficial to make into a video. It might help other people also. So I do build with Post-it notes when I go to the charts. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about why Post-it notes and the impact that I think it has, number one, and then I'm actually going to build a chart in front of you off of some Post-it notes that I recently used with a teacher and some kids. So the first thing is, when you're building a chart, if it's a process chart, the most important thing to do when you're working with kids and or teachers is to engage them in the actual process. The one thing that I have found by using Post-it notes is it has a meaningful impact for the kids or the teachers that I'm working with. It allows me to draw and use my own handwriting. It allows for me to create icons, use arrows, any bit of the sketchnoting that you might see that's out there. It also engages kids because the minute that they see your writing, my writing, their teacher's writing, it matters a little bit more to them and the work they're doing. So the first thing is to actually create the chart in the process that you want. The one tip that I do have with this is to make sure that your process is around or under 3 steps all together, right? So the first thing is, like, this chart is all going to be about getting ready to read a book, okay? So the first thing I might do is start to build this chart with the steps in order. So the first step I might want kids to do is engage with the title of the actual book. So I might have them read the title, think about what that means to them, and my language might sound something more like coaching language for them. Read the title. What is that making you think? What do you know about that title already? Great. Now, I want you to take that information and I want you to add it to, what do you notice about the rest of the cover? What about the artwork? What about the imagery? What about the author? Is there any more information you're gathering here, and how's it helping you think about what this book might be about? The next step, and I will lay this down, this is exactly what I would do with kids. I would build this as it unfolds right in front of them. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to turn to the back of the book or the inside front cover, and I want you to read that back blurb. And at this point, I want you to think about all that you know about the cover and the title, and I want you to read the back blurb, think about, like, what's the new information you have, and how are you starting to put all of these pieces together about what you're reading? Good, you got it? And I might even have them talk it out. And then the final thing in this step is, now I want you to take all that information, all that really great thinking that you have, and I want you to put it together, and I want you to think about, like, what questions you have reading into this text, and then, like, what's your purpose for reading? What's the intention you have for your reading? What are you trying to figure out? Okay, so that's how my language might sound for this particular work with a child. The important thing is here is, not only does this have a meaningful impact, this is my handwriting, I created it off of a book that I knew they were actually reading, right? I used the exact cover art. It allows me, this is the second of 4 points. The first one is it has a meaningful impact. We talked about that. The second point is it allows me flexibility. I think some charts you might have fully completed and ready to hand out to kids or use with kids, and you might just point, and that's perfectly fine. I don't believe there's an always and situation that needs to be created or a scenario that needs to be created. I think it's a sometimes because. Sometimes kids need to see a chart like this unfold in front of them because it builds suspense, it builds anticipation, and they actually feel like they're engaged in the process themselves. So it has them, what I call the lean in effect, right? Like they're leaning in a little bit more to the work, right? And what's happening, or they're actually able to do one step of the process at a time, which is an important factor if I want kids to solidify a strategy for their reading or their writing or whatever content you're after. So you got meaningful impact, flexibility. The next thing is it's the ability to manipulate. You know, I cringe when I hear that we're gonna laminate this chart and hand it out to kids. I think that's an option. It could very easily be that way, But I think the most important factor is the ability to manipulate it in a way that suits you. So this idea of using very simple line drawings, this, plus, arrows, right, helps them steer into or lean into the work that they should be doing. So this, revealing the process or being able to manipulate the Post-it notes. And then the final thing is going to sound like a selfish piece here, but it allows me to be creative. I think being able to create this, use it, and the idea of revision for me allows me to be a little bit more creative. I like the idea of thinking about how can I get this chart, this process that I want kids to have for their learning, how can I get it in fewer words? How can I get it to be simplified enough where they can try on the strategy and feel successful? So whether it's my borders, my fonts, my arrows, my felt pens, whatever I'm using, Sharpies, I think it allows me to have a moment of being creative with the process itself. So again, thinking about kids and using process charts, we've got the ability to use Post-it notes in a way, building a chart, a process chart in front of kids that allows for a meaningful impact. It has some flexibility, the ability to manipulate, and finally the ability to be creative yourself and engage in the process with kids. I would love to hear more about how you're using charts or process charts in your classroom. If you want to share in the comments below, I would love to hear from you, your thoughts on this particular video, if this has helped, or if you've done work like this in the past and the impact it's had on kids. I've noticed such great return from kids when we're doing process charts like this, and for my own process, I think it helps me solidify the information that I'm teaching into. I really hope this video helps you in some way, and would love to hear from you. So thanks so much. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If you like what you see, please like the video, subscribe, comment down below. My intention is to continue to bring more videos like this in the future. Thank you so much.